This is first round action out of the South region. The 11 seed, North Carolina, coming in from a win in the first four, taking on the 6 seed, Ole Miss. Tar Heels with their lowest tourney seed in school history. Ole Miss looking for its first round of 64 win since 2013. How about Dre Davis for 3? Rebs up 11 here. Now Ole Miss is up 14. Jalen Murray and 1. Rebels up 17 after the free throw. A minute later, Ole Miss now up 15. Sean Padula for 3. Rebs up 18 at the half. UNC's second largest halftime deficit in a tournament game in school history. They trailed by as many as 22 early in the second half, and no North Carolina team's ever come back from that big of a deficit in the round of 64. Well, here we go. Tar Heels within 13 now with 7 to go. Elliot Cadeau. Open 3. It's a 10-point game. Here comes Ole Miss. Drake Powell steals it. R.J. Davis in transition, misses. Powell gets the rebound and the floater, and now we got single digits. It's an 8-point game. Here comes Carolina. Davis lays it in. Tar Heels down 6. Next possession, Jalen Washington. Fed on the roll and hammers it home. Tar Heels within 4, cap an 11-0 run. Ole Miss held scoreless for nearly 6 minutes of game time. Just over a minute to go. UNC down 5. Davis. And the foul. There was an official review here that looked at Davis's elbow, clipping Matthew Morrell in the face on the drive. It was deemed a legal play. North Carolina down 2 after the free throw. Davis finished with a team high 15, but on the ensuing possession, Padula hits the biggest shot of the game. 4-3, and Padula finished with a game high 20. Rebs back up 5, and then North Carolina just couldn't find a bucket. They couldn't hit a basket after that. Ole Miss would seal it at the free throw line. They avoid the upset scare, and Ole Miss is moving on to the round of 32 with a 71-64 win over North Carolina. Ole Miss hadn't been to the Sweet 16 since 2001, people. They hadn't been to the NCAA Tournament since 2019, and for the first time ever, there's only one and no more ACC teams left in the round of 32. After this game, CBS's Lauren Shahadi caught up with the head coach, Chris Beard, and Sean Padula.
Yes, we're ready, Coach Sean. He's ready to go. Congratulations, UNC fought till the bitter end. How'd you close it out?
A lot of respect for our opponent today. We knew they were going to come back. A little disappointed in our poise in the second half, but this is March. Survive in advance. We came here to win 2 games, so we're halfway there.
Sean, I saw you hyping up the crowd at the end when you committed with Beard and Ole Miss. How much of this was the reason?
Yeah, it was everything. I mean, for this school, for this fan base, and then for us, we put in so much work dating back to the summer, the early morning. So that's just me showing emotion and being excited.
You said you're working on smelling the roses and that you're terrible at it. Can you a little bit with this?
No.
Not yet?
Maybe if we win the second game in this tournament. So, but I'm proud of our guys. Sean and these guys, they had a lot of courage. Give North Carolina credit. Great comeback.
Lucky Charms tomorrow, Coach?
Always.
Always. Big-time serial Coach. Sean, congratulations. Kevin.
Well, Chris Beard has found the round of 64 to be magically delicious. 6-0 lifetime spread amongst 4 schools. Only Tom Davis did a little bit at Boston College. Most of the damage done at the University of Iowa, and the great Dean Smith have began their careers in the tournament unblemished to such a degree. Russ Thaler here in the HQ studio with our guy, the coach, Avery Johnson. Coach, we just saw North Carolina look like they were going to get blown out and come all the way back. How much credit do you give to Ole Miss, or maybe even the Tar Heels as well, for the fight they showed in the second half?
Well, I give credit to Ole Miss's defense, and especially, you know, holding this North Carolina team to only 5 3-pointers. They were 5 for 24 from 3. And if you can't make a 3 during this time of the year, it's going to be very problematic, as we've been talking about all day and all night. Chris Beard what a coaching job. You know, I had a chance to watch him up close and personal at Texas Tech. He invited me to speak to his team when he was at Texas, and now he's doing the job at Ole Miss. You know, they built a 22-point lead. One of the things I've always said consistently is in this first round, the 64, building a lead is critical because it forces you to change your defenses in any way you want. It puts a lot of pressure on your opponent to fight hard, to get back and climb back into the game. They were a little bit, you know, discombobulated there late in the game, as Beard alluded to. But right now, there are really no ugly wins. It's just, like he said, survive, win, and advance.
Look, these are two teams that came into this game with pretty big chips on their shoulder for different reasons. There were folks who didn't think North Carolina belonged in the field. They were the last ones to get in. There are those amongst us who believe that Ole Miss isn't primed to make a run. Well, they get Iowa State next, the 3 seed. How do you see that matchup?
Well, this is going to be a tough matchup for Ole Miss. You know, I had Ole Miss winning this game against North Carolina, but this Iowa State team, defensively, they're built similar to Houston. I had them twice last year in the NCAA Tournament. They trap everything. They basically trap you when you get off the bus. So ball pressure is very critical. They're a team that really prides themselves on deflections. So you're going to see Iowa State traps, deflection, defense, trying to get out there in the open court. And if they can do that, they'll have a chance to be successful.
All right, one final thought before we say goodbye for this moment on UNC and Hubert Davis, that program, where they are right now, moving on from this.
Well, the main thing is you saw Hubert Davis. They hired a general manager for the first time in North Carolina's history, obviously, because it's legal now. This team really has to rethink, especially in this NIL age, how you want to move forward. You saw them, you bring in the arguably the greatest coach in NFL history, and they open up the checkbook, right? Reportedly a $20 million NIL package. But you're going to have to figure out how to direct a lot of those funds or a new set of funds and capital for your NIL program for North Carolina so that you can maintain excellence and keep up with the other teams that are really excelling now in this NIL era.
Kind of reports that were coming out of Miami about NIL money moving from basketball to football, and Jim Larinaga deciding, like, you know what, my time is up.
And with Bill Belichick now arriving on campus, even though he's twirling his girlfriend in the air on the beach, don't worry about that. They have the money. They can find it. I would call Michael Jordan.
Right. They got a pretty wealthy alum in that base right there. Avery Johnson, thank you so much. The madness continues here on CBS Sports HQ. Don't miss a moment of the action on CBS, TBS, TNT, and True TV, and download the March Madness Live app to watch every game, anywhere, anytime, live.